Hello and welcome to another episode of Virtual Legality. I'm your host, Richard Hoeg, managing member of the Hoeg Law business law firm of Northville, Michigan. And today I'm coming to you with a special Virtual Legality episode, hopefully a short one, a Virtual Legality Extra, just because I thought this was a piece of very interesting news. Obviously, if you've been following Xbox this week, you know that they've had a ton of big announcements, especially the consummation of their acquisition of ZeniMax and Bethesda. Along with that announcement came a number of announcements for Game Pass. And this is another Game Pass announcement that I think is likely to be pretty substantial. So let's actually talk about it. This Game Pass announcement was tweeted out by the Xbox Game Pass Twitter account in one of their traditionally tongue-in-cheek, fake, surreptitious email leaks. And I said, that's Outriders when I was talking about it. Now, what led me to that particular kind of calculation? Well, if you go and you look at the Xbox fake email from Melissa McGamepass that they quote-unquote leaked out, you'll read it as the following. Hey team, so much news today. Hope you don't mind if I add some more, although it's completely unrelated to the other announcement, so it has nothing to do with Bethesda or anything else that has been talked about. That new game has been confirmed and is officially coming to the service. As always, keep this confidential. So a couple of important things there. They're talking about Game Pass, as you would expect from the Game Pass Twitter account, and Melissa McGamepass. And it's a new game. It's not a game that has already been out for a long time. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter kind of trying to guess at this particular game from this announcement. Only went up about an hour ago. And people have said things like the Batman is apparently getting an upgrade for XS, or that's been rumored to happen, and some other guesses. This is something that is new. Now, if you looked at that front page screen about Outriders that I put up at the top of this video, that's coming out in a couple of weeks, April 1st. And it's a game I'm pretty excited about. If you're at all interested in it, it's a kind of RPG, over-the-shoulder, third-person cover shooter Diablo thing. And I highly recommend checking it out if that strikes your fancy at all, because it's very, very interesting. Please do give it time to get out of the prologue, though. It's pretty slow starting, and it takes a little while to warm up. If you do give it that time, though, I think you'll find it to be a very interesting game, and maybe we can squad up at some point in the future. Going back to the Game Pass quote-unquote announcement, before I go, I did have something I wanted to ask. Has anyone else noticed a mysterious signal appearing in the distance lately, or am I the anomaly in this situation? Weird question, I know. So that sentence outside of the phrase new game is where their hints live. And the things that jump out are the phrases mysterious signal and anomaly, which is why, having played the demo through a couple of times, and I can tell you without spoilers, that the demo for Outriders ends with a kind of video explaining that the Outriders throughout the course of the game after the demo are going to be going across the planet that they find themselves on in search of a mysterious signal. I went out and said, folks, that's Outriders. I also said as part of this Twitter thread that that's a big get because Outriders is one of the bigger games for this first and second quarter in 2021 since so much stuff has kind of been shuffled around. 2021 is kind of a weird year because of the pandemic. It's a game that I'm pretty excited about. And certainly with the Bethesda announcements, with Xbox spending all this money, it's a very significant addition, just like everything else, to their Game Pass library if it is in fact the case. But why am I so convinced that it is in fact the case? Well, if you haven't played the game, you haven't seen that video in the demo, one thing that I think is pretty useful is really focusing on those keywords, right? We talk a lot about corporate messaging here in Virtual Legality. We talk a lot about reading between the lines. You don't even have to read between the lines that far to understand what they're doing with the keywords here. If we go to the Square Enix website and we look at the description for Outriders, it reads as follows. Humanity's efforts to colonize the alien planet Enoch went astray as the expedition teams encountered massive energy storms known as the Anomaly. The Outriders escape to cryosleep, awakening 30 years later. They embark on a journey across the hostile planet to the source of a mysterious signal. Not just a signal, not just a distant signal, not just anything else that you might use to describe a signal, an annoying signal, a high-pitched signal. It is, in fact, a mysterious signal. And again, you could claim I'm reading too far into these various things, but I think this is pretty on the nose for what they're trying to achieve with their communications. Mysterious signal, anomaly, new game. So I think that everybody can be pretty convinced that Outriders, a game that I'm very much looking forward to, hopefully I'll see you playing it with me, is something that is coming to Game Pass. And before we leave as part of this video, I want to say that that's just such a big deal. And I know a number of people are also saying on Twitter, if that is in fact the case, that one question is what's going to happen to the pre-orders? Outriders has been a game that has been collecting pre-orders at least since the demo dropped. I think it was earlier in either this month or in February. And that's a good question. you don't get a refund if you purchased a game and then it drops on Game Pass the next day. But here's a case where you've got pre-orders and you've got Microsoft hinting strongly that you might not need that pre-order if you're otherwise an owner of the Game Pass product, day and date when the game comes out. Which, of course, leads to the second question. When they leak something like this, when it appears to all the world like it's something like Outriders, are they intending to intimate that Outriders is going to be released on the Game Pass service day and date to its launch as a full-service product on Xbox and PlayStation and anywhere else? I don't know the answers to these questions, but I still think it's interesting to follow. And certainly, they have a certain amount of permission to go out with notes like that on Twitter and social media. It will be reported on in places much bigger than Virtual Legality. But it is certainly something that might ruffle a few feathers at Square Enix and Outriders. When you've got a sentence like this, even if they approved it, they might not realize exactly how obvious it is that this is Outriders. This could potentially cut into their pre-orders, their sales. And that's going to be something worth following, because one of the other things you see on the Xbox Game Pass Twitter feed is occasionally the walk back. Oh, we didn't mean to announce that. Oh, we were wrong on that. And then it potentially gets delayed a little bit off a day and date. You've seen this before with Xbox kind of dealing with Game Pass and third-party negotiations. It will be very interesting to follow this. One thing is for sure. Xbox is firing on all cylinders this week. And certainly if Outriders is coming day and date to Game Pass, they are firing on all cylinders in the weeks to come. It'll certainly be something interesting to follow. If you're at all interested in Outriders, let me know. Otherwise, I got to get off this video before my voice completely fails me. If you like this, please like, subscribe, ring bells, comment to Google, do all the other things. It's very useful. Thank you for watching if you watched on YouTube, or listening if you listen to it as a podcast. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Virtual Legality. Virtual Legality is a YouTube video series with audio podcast versions presented as commentary and for education and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute legal advice and does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you have legal questions about the topics discussed, please consult your own legal counsel.